Welcome back to Pastor Pleck's podcast. I'm your host, Pastor Pleck, and joining me is a good friend who is visiting us from the nation state of Israel. And we just want to say hey to Sergei. How are we doing?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Pastor. As well. Shalom.
Shalom. And so you are actually an Israeli citizen.
Yes, correct.
It didn't always start out that way.
Correct.
So tell me about your journey. I think you were telling me it was from Belarus,
Yes.
like Russian, like person over here. Not really.
Speaking, yes.
Russian speaking. Thank you. Yeah. And you have to explain this for Americans. We know nothing. Like Poland, Belarus, Russia, it's all the same. It's confusing. We need some help. I might have to give us some World War II history. Tell us about what it was like growing up in Belarus, because it was originally part of the USSR at the time.
Correct. I was born and raised in 1974, raised under USSR, which was an experience in itself.
So Mikhail Gorbachev, like that, like I remember being in the 80s and like all of that. That's wild.
Yeah. He is the person that was instrumental. He was used of God to bless millions and millions and millions of people with freedom.
Wow.
In the beginning of 90s, end of 80s.
So how did that, like whenever just thinking back to Gorbachev, like 'cause at the time, I was a kid. I just remember, Gorbachev represented all of the USSR and Russia, and then somehow either Ronald Reagan cracked him. Or, it was we don't have the right. So what's the Russian history version of Mikhail Gorbachev? He was a great leader then, or someone who brought in freedom.
Yes, he was a leader. It's interesting that the Bible says that God raises up kings and he takes care of the people's hearts. He is able to touch people's hearts. And Mikhail Gorbachev, his heart somehow was touched to bring some adjustments, so to speak, to the former Soviet Union, or to make life or to make the progress for people better.
What was the life like, though? What was it like? Because I can't even conceive of it as being a freedom person here in America, where you can do whatever you want to do. There is no rules other than don't murder people and stay on your side of the lane for traffic. What was so bad about it?
Well, so bad was that basically the price that the population of the former USSR had to pay to get where they were. World War II, as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
It claimed the lives of tens and millions of Soviet citizens.
Yeah.
At the same time, the leadership of former USSR, Lenin, Stalin, and all of the leaders, they killed and murdered millions and millions of their citizens in the name of building a better society.
Wow. Okay. So growing up with that's in your background. And when I think about when I think 1974, let's just take it to 1980 as a little kid.
Okay.
You're only 35 years removed from World War II.
Correct.
And which is crazy.
Yeah.
And so your parents clearly were they, or at least grandparents for sure, but you had it was a recent history. Mm-hmm. Stalin was fairly recent history.
Yes.
And was it Khrushchev after him? Mm-hmm. And so you had, and what was all of these different economic attempts that just came a failure after failure after failure until Gorbachev was there. Mm-hmm. And Russia was nuclear power at that time, right?
Yes, definitely.
And so what was, and kind of like the USA and Russia were always sort of going at it with an arms race. So tell me about what it was like as a kid. Did you have food on the table? And then maybe before and after, before freedom, after freedom?
Mm-hmm. There's a little story. You mentioned World War II. My mom, she was born in 1940.
Yeah.
And she was about 4 years old right before the liberation of the Belarusian Soviet Republic.
Yeah.
And she recalls that she was at home with my grandma, and she remembers that the German soldiers came into the village. They entered the house, and they were going house from house, and they didn't speak Russian. So in broken Russian and just German language, they would say Mutter, Mutter, which means mother, mother. Take the Kinder, take the children. SS is coming. SS is the Sonderkommanden, the extermination units, and they said forest, forest, go. So my grandma, she understood that she needs to take my mom and her brothers and sisters, and she has a family of 5 siblings. Some of them were not born yet, and she remembers them running to the forest and staying in the forest for several days and several nights, then coming back to the village. And she says the cow was gone, there were no chickens, the barn and the house, they were burnt down. They lived for the next several months in a little hut made out of dirt and wooden planks.
So when the Germans came through, it was like scorched earth. We were just going to destroy everything in our path on our way to, essentially, they were trying to get to Moscow.
It was 1944, so actually it was the Soviet army pushing them back. But where they lived, my mom, where she lived at that time, there was a lot of guerrilla fighting and war against the Germans, against the Nazis. So the German army, it was like a retaliation units. The guerrilla fighters were doing something against them, and then they would send the troops and just say, make sure there's nobody and nothing is left. So no German soldier is harmed.
Wow. Wild.
Yeah.
Wild stuff. Okay. All right. So you grew up with that. So tell me about, though, all I remember as a kid about Russia was like empty food shelves at the stores, or just very limited supply of food. The working class, which was just about everybody, was just a big struggle. Was that a realistic portrayal of Russia, or did I get propaganda?
That's a good question, because when USSR began to fall apart, indeed there were food shortages, but you said about propaganda. On our side of the world, we were hearing also propaganda. I remember watching news, and they would show people on the New York streets sleeping in cardboards from refrigerators. And they were saying, look, they're building communism. The West is being rotten. The people cannot afford their housing. They sleep in the streets. So me and us little kids watching news back in the day, in the beginning of 80s, we thought, all of the world is like this. All of America is like this. There's just hope in one place, USSR.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so that's wild. Which takes us to the fact that the internet...
USSR, which is building the communism. We have built and achieved socialism. Next step is communism. It's about to happen soon. Wow. Nobody knew how soon this is going to be, and soon it fell apart. But at that time, it was part of propaganda.
Wow. Okay, that is fascinating to me. It's just wild to see it on different realm of the world. Like, our life was great. We lived on just the amount of freedom we had was just glorious in comparison. So when you graduate high school, is it high school like normal? Go to school till you're 18-ish?
10 grades, yeah.
10 grades, so like 16?
17-ish, yeah.
Okay, so then you graduate, what do you do?
Usually you go, for example, Soviet educational system was made up of 10 years, but once you graduate from the 8th class, you have an opportunity to take exams and continue on to be on the 8th grade, or go to a trade union school to be a plumber, electrician, builder. So many kids chose that path. I chose to be in the grade number 9 and 10, and then I enrolled into a university.
Okay, so this is where I want to give credit to that system, because if we had a trade union school, that would bless, I think, our nation a ton. Because what happens is guys learn those skills by messing up or doing stuff around the house, and plumbers and carpenters now are like killing it. Like, they're making a ton of money because nobody has skills.
No AI is able to.
Right. Nobody can replace a plumber, or a carpenter, or like if someone's going to go. Yeah. Anyway, so it's fascinating to kind of see that reality, and it's like, ooh, there were probably some perks to the system that you grew up in. All right. So you graduate from high school. And you go to university. Where do you go to university at?
If you don't go to university, all of the boys, they go to army.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so it's a
It's Army or university, your choice.
correct. So I chose university. I went to study Academy of Physical Education and Sports management, and I graduated from it. And while I was studying, shortly right before I was enrolled into the school, I trusted the Lord.
Oh, wow. Now, how did that happen?
So I'm a living testimony of a mass mailing of tracts. Somebody sent me a Gospel of Luke from a mission society, Licht im Osten, Light in the East. It was from West Germany. And I read it, trusted the Lord, and started
Wait, so
growing.
you came to faith by somebody randomly putting in the mail like a 10-page tract or something?
Correct. It's amazing for me how many of them were mailed. And, it's another story of being faithful in what you do for the Lord. Because imagine yourself, you're a German believer, you mass mail tracts, you assemble packages, you pray over them, you send them over, and you have no idea what will happen. Will they be trashed, intercepted, thrown away, or there will be a teenager like me who comes across it and takes it and,
So tell me at the time the legality was it legal to share the gospel in the USSR, or it was USSR still then, right?
Correct. No. Back then in the day, it was not. But when Mr. Gorbachev, he began to make all of the changes to Soviet Union, he instituted he started perestroika, which means the rebuilding over. And then he gave some freedom. And of course, that's when I received the tract.
Wow. Wow. So you get a tract from a German of all things and was their Russian okay?
Yeah, it was perfect. Of course.
But it was from
it was just the booklet itself, the little pamphlet. It was so colorful, so bright that back in the day, when it was kind of everybody wore the same clothing, we lived in the same apartments, everybody had the same furniture, same refrigerators and everything, and then boom, I get something really bright and colorful that made a difference.
When you talk about like how everything was like it seems like gray or like just blah.
It's life. Yeah, that was life.
I mean, that is so sad and wild. And then just thinking about America and the colors and just the experience we have here. What a joy and privilege it is to be an American. So, wow.
God bless America.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's wild to look at that. And I'm just grateful for your perspective. Okay, so you become a Christian in your apartment.
Correct.
How big is your apartment? I'm just curious.
It was 2 bedrooms and a kitchen and a separate restroom and shower room.
All right, yeah. So it's a simple apartment.
Simple.
But was it? When I think of Russian apartments, I think of just stacked really high in the sky.
Definitely.
And there wasn't, there's nowhere to really run around.
Ours was 9-story building.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I am
that had like 18 entrances.
Yes.
It was a long, like wavy building with lots of people and kids living in it.
That's exactly what I thought. Okay, I'm nailing it.
Correct.
I was like, man, that sounds really depressing in many ways. Like you could hear like probably a family screaming at each other, one door over. You look outside and you just go, oh man. Yeah. Okay. All right. So you get the tract, you accept Christ, but is there a church? I mean, what do you do after you come to Christ in a culture like that?
Yes, there were some churches that were already planted, and
but they weren't legal. Were they legal?
Some were registered with the government, and some were not. And I started going.
Can you tell the difference about what it meant to be registered with the government versus not registered with the government?
I think it started in the 1960s and 50s when the USSR when the government began to say, okay, the Christianity is growing.
Wait, so Christianity was growing?
Was growing in USSR, yes.
Right after the war.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so they were like, this is a problem.
Correct. And even Khrushchev, Mr. Khrushchev, or Comrade Khrushchev himself, he said, soon in 5 years, we are going to show the last Christian on the TV and we'll do away with the religion. So the communists, they were very conscious that, we don't want to have any people competing with us, any other ideology but the state-owned ideology is not okay. And they were suppressing it. They were suppressing, and they were making sure that if you're they were making sure that they register and number all of the Christians. They were trying to limit their influence, especially they would say, okay, you have to report to the government how many kids you have, how many donations you're collecting each Sunday, how many baptisms per year are you doing, tell us everything and anything about all of your members so they can trouble them afterwards. And those churches that complied, they had less problems for the government. Those that decided to go their way and say, no, we worship God, nobody should know, the church and state are separate, so we're not supposed to tell you, and we will never tell you how many people we have, how many kids go to our Sunday school. So there was a constant cracking down on those churches, so to speak, from the government.
Okay, so when you say cracking down, what does that mean?
They would send police to disrupt services.
Like the police would just walk in and be like, hey, you guys can't have service.
Yeah. It was easy back in the day to track people, and the government already knew who is a believer, and they were just making sure that they disrupt the services. If they arrest people, they would make them pay fines, huge fines. Like you would have to pay probably 20, 30, 40% of your monthly income just if you get caught once on a Sunday. So,
in worship.
Correct. At the premises of the church.
Yeah, I think this is where Americans just don't realize how bad communism is and the lack of freedom is. We just live in a world where we just like to complain. And wow. Okay, so
appreciate what you have and stand for it and pray for it and
I mean that's
tall and strong and firm. Yeah,
absolutely. That's wild. I think Reagan said, you're only one generation away from your freedom being gone.
Correct.
Okay, so you come to Christ, and so you have your choice, I guess, registered church or non-registered church.
Back in the day, I had no idea.
Okay.
There was an address for the congregation in the booklet, and I went.
Oh.
And I was going there, and then
tell me, when you came to Christ, you were just like, you read it, you're like, I believe. Now what? I mean, that's
exactly.
incredible. No other person's around you at all.
Correct.
Okay, so you come to Christ. I'm assuming like weeping, crying, the whole normal thing of like, I'm a sinner.
Yeah.
And Jesus saved me.
It happened. Yes.
I mean, it's so wild. And I know, and I think I think as Christians, sometimes in America, people become so, I guess, inoculated. They don't see the exciting thing about Jesus came, died on the cross, rose to the dead. They've heard it so many times. And when people don't respond, they're like, well, of course they didn't respond. But you read these words, that Jesus died on the cross for you, Sergei. And then all of a sudden you're like, I am born again. Wow. You just knew.
I had hunger for God. I had hunger to read His Word and to know God more and better. And I started going at this address. And then my dad, he also invited me and said, Sergei, what are you doing on the next Saturday?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm free. Sunday's church. And then he said, let's go to Messianic Jews. And I said, what are Messianic? I know Jews. He said, Messianic is Jewish people that believe in Yeshua. And I go like, who is Yeshua? I don't remember if I said who or what, but he said Yeshua is Jesus. So it's the Jewish people that believe in Yeshua, in Jesus. Okay, I went there, and that's where I stayed for another many years.
Okay, so now the Messianic, so this is still in Russia or Belarus, and
it was the beginning of 90s.
Okay, so you're in the 90s. You're attending church on, I guess now Saturday with the Messianic
congregation.
Congregation. What is it? And this is for just a lot of people don't know. What is the difference between a Messianic congregation and just your basic Christian church?
Well, of course, in the definition itself, Messianic congregation is the congregation of Messianic believers, of people that believe in the Messiah of Israel.
Yeah.
They happen to be Jewish by birth, and also there are non-Jewish people that come to join them. While the Christians were called Christians first in the city of Antioch in the Bible, that talks about the non-Jewish followers of Jesus in the first century.
Okay, got it. So So are you Jewish by birth then?
No.
So, but they still allowed you to be a part of it?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so they're like, hey, we'll take anybody, but we're gonna. Is it they follow like Shabbat and kind of do a Saturday worship experience?
Correct.
So explain to me those kind of things.
I was so hungry for God, and I just was ready to come and do whatever needed to be done. And the leader of the congregation, he said, "Oh, okay. Are you willing to do this? Yes. Are you willing to do that? Yes." So
Wow,
I stayed.
that's incredible. Okay, so
And yes, they do meet on Shabbat.
so explain Shabbat for a lot of us who don't know. When does it start?
Shabbat, for example, it comes from the Hebrew verb lishbot, which means to stop or to arrest or constrain yourself. So it's based on the Bible, which says that it was in the book of Genesis, it was morning and evening the first day, evening and morning actually.
So evening
Shabbat,
is where, that's what's, when you said that, and then you told me about how Shabbat works, and the Bible says evening and morning, and then that was the first day.
Correct.
So meaning evening comes before the morning.
Yeah, well, actually, Shabbat starts on the evening with the sunset.
Right.
The
So
sun
it's
goes
Friday
down
night.
Friday afternoon. Actually, things get quiet, begin to wind down in Israel, and people start getting ready for the Sabbath, for Shabbat. And Shabbat ends on the next Saturday evening with the sunset.
Okay. That's incredible. Okay. So, but you do normal, I don't know how to say it, American church things. Like you have somebody reading scripture, somebody, singing songs, all the things that we would think of a service. You do that on Friday nights?
Correct. Yes, we do read and expand and preach from the Parashat Shavua, which means the Torah portion of the week.
Yep.
And afterwards, we sing songs and psalms in Hebrew, English, a little bit of Russian, but mainly we sing in Hebrew because our congregation is a Hebrew-speaking congregation. And
so did you have to learn Hebrew?
Yeah. I started doing it. I started learning Hebrew when I was still back in the Messianic congregation. Blessings, benedictions, prayers, songs, so little passages of the Bible. It just opens up the whole different dimension.
Okay, so when you come to faith in the apartment, you start going to the Messianic congregation, was there any pushback culturally or like in your job, in your work? Like what was that like?
Not in the big sense, but people oftentimes they would say like in my university, what are you doing on Saturday or Friday evening? I say, I go to congregation. Oh, why are you not free? What are you doing? Let's go do something. Let's go party. I would say, oh, I'm busy. So where do you go? What do you do? I go to a Messianic congregation, and they just had no idea.
They're just like, okay.
What is this? I would say it's Jewish people that believe in Yeshua, Jesus. And they're like, oh, interesting. Why do you have to do with the Jewish people? I said, I sense a calling. I want to be there. I want to serve the Lord. This is how I find fulfillment in life. And for many of the people, it was like, some of them didn't care, but some of them, they would say, oh, this guy is trying to be Jewish, and this guy is trying to do that or this. So, of course, I learned afterwards, to kind of not be offended or upset, but keep doing what the Lord called me to do.
So how long did you live in Belarus at that Messianic church before because the next stop Israel?
Correct.
Okay, how long did you live there?
We moved we started making documents when it was COVID, so we moved in 2021.
Oh, so from Belarus to Israel in 2021.
Correct.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's wild. That's pretty cool. And then, so the idea was, because the calling with being within the Messianic congregation was like, maybe I'm called to be a Messianic congregation in actual Israel. Was that kind of how that kind of, your soul was sort of fed by that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct. Yes.
And then, so then you get to, tell me the difference between Belarus and Israel, just from a, I don't know, economic perspective, freedom perspective, all the different things.
They're similar and different at the same time. For example, the population of Belarus is a little bit over 9 million people.
Oh, wow.
And the population of Israel, it's 10 million people. Israel crossed the 10 million line last summer.
Yeah.
For example, Belarus under the
How large
Russian
of a state or is Belarus? How large of a country is it?
It's about 600 kilometers wide, so that makes it 400 miles wide. And about probably 600 or 700 kilometers north to south.
Okay.
So
yeah, so roughly about like it's the size of a smaller state. So
yeah, correct.
Let me see if I can.
So, for example, the Belarus used to be a part of the what's it called, the Pale of Settlement. That was the area where the Jewish people were not allowed to live as close to Moscow as so many kilometers. And under Tsarist Russia, because the Russian Empire was pretty much anti-Semitic. And many Jewish people settled in Belarus and Ukraine. And for example, sadly, but after the World War II, many Jewish people were just killed in Belarus.
Wow.
They were transported out of Belarus to Nazi death camps.
So was there a little bit of a stigma for you not being, so there's two ways. One, not being Jewish, but joining a Messianic congregation from your basic Belarusian person. And then, but what about from a Jewish perspective? Was there any like, what are you doing here? You're not a real Jew. And maybe within the church or within the congregation, they were fine. But how about just with Israeli or Jews in general? Is that like sort of like, what is your problem? Why are you?
Not really. I would say Israelis are cool. They are welcoming. And for example, when we moved to Israel, the first thing that just, you come, you have your worries, expectations, excitement.
Yeah.
So I was coming at the airport of Tel Aviv, Ben Gurion, and there was a lady and she gave me the package of documents and she said in English, 2 words, welcome home.
Oh,
and
nice.
At that time, I sensed like a few gigabytes of information were dropped down into my soul from heaven, and I felt peace, I felt joy,
that's
I felt
kind of neat.
acceptance, and Israel accepted me, and I accepted Israel. So we are, so to speak, in love with one another.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so talk to me about what it's like to be now living in Israel. Because you've been there through the war.
Correct.
So
October 7, yeah.
So October 7th of, was it
2020, yeah. 3 years ago.
Gosh, that's wild. Okay, so October 7th happens. It's
a national tragedy, yeah.
You're in Tel Aviv. Right?
Well, actually, I work as a tour guide. So
Okay.
I had a group of tourists that left on October 6th. And October 8th is my birthday. So basically, October 6th, I get into the car with a whole bunch of other friends, and we go to Lake of Galilee, Kinneret, in the north. We get camping gear, we get the tents, and we want to celebrate and hang out and celebrate my birthday the next day. And then, it's 6 o'clock, 6:30-ish, something. 7th of October, we began to, our phones began to just go wild because we have little apps that tell there's an attack, there's bombing, there's shelling, rockets are flying, take shelter. And that's when it happened. And it was, we were in shock that something happened. At first we thought, well, it's bombing, it's going to finish soon. But no, it just were wave after wave of bombing alarms. And we decided to check the news, and about 7 o'clock or so in the morning, we began to realize it's a full-scale invasion.
Okay.
My daughter was in the Israeli army at that time, and there was another soldier with us. And it's another girl, and they began to get phone calls from their military bases saying, where are you? Are you safe? Are you okay? As soon as they said, yes, we are safe. We are here with our parents at the Lake of Galilee celebrating. And then they said, it's an invasion of the full scale. You have to get back to your base as soon as possible. So we had to tear down the camp.
What was the feeling like as you're taking your tent down?
Shock and unbelief that it's really happening. because in Israel we kind of we got used to, in a bad sense, so to speak, to being bombed.
Wait, can you explain that? Because when you just say like we get bombed all the time, that I don't think your average American can wrap their head around that. So what do you mean by that? You mean before October 7th?
Hamas was from the Gaza Strip was sending their rockets every once in a while.
They were just like, hey, send one off. And it would just show up somewhere over Tel Aviv or wherever.
Yeah. Then, it's about 1 minute and 30 seconds that we have of the approaching time of the missile being fired by Hamas from Gaza Strip. So, you stop doing what you're doing and you realize you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to go down to the shelter. We have a community shelter down.
Okay, are you in an apartment now?
Yeah.
So how many floors are you that you have to get down?
We are 2 floors.
Okay. So
we have only 4 floors in our house.
Okay.
So it's doable. So 1 minute, 30 seconds, it's doable. But back on October 7, it was just wave after wave after wave. Of course, we were in the north. We were getting only the alarms on our phones because our phones are set up in our area, which was being heavily bombed and shelled.
Wow.
But the north, we had to really tear down and just... I remember driving down to the southern part of the country, and the roads were packed with cars. People were just coming back, and everybody was like, wow, we can't believe what's happening. There were roadblocks on the roads because security personnel, we were beginning to hear the news that the terrorists were infiltrating Israel, and they were beginning to travel to Ashkelon. Some ran as far as Ashdod, and there were some suspicions and fears and expectations on the Israeli side that they will try to go as far as possible.
Whew. Okay. So October 7th happens. You're kind of in shock. Your bombings are a normal thing. But you have the Iron Dome. And can you explain the Iron Dome real quick?
Iron Dome is a Israeli invention because it was put to use in the 2000s because Hamas was sending rockets to Israel, and at one point Israel said enough is enough, and it's made up of several units: radar, computer. Just to make it simple for us here to understand.
Yeah.
The radar, computer, and the launch pad. So basically, the radar is scanning the neighborhoods, and when it gets suspicious that there's a launch, it sends the signal to the computer, and the computer calculates the trajectory.
Yeah, trajectory.
Yeah. And if the trajectory is going to hit a residential area, then the Iron Dome gets activated and sends the rocket to intercept it. If a computer system sees that it's going to fall somewhere where it's going to cause no damage, then we save a few launches, so to speak.
Wow.
Because each launch is tens and tens and tens of thousands of US dollars.
So you guys were getting attacked on a regular basis.
Correct.
Just every day.
Not every day, but every once in a while.
Like once a week, once a month?
Probably. It depended. It depended on the month. It depended on state of negotiations.
Right. Okay. So so talk to me about like, you would go down to the basement or the bomb shelter.
Bomb shelter.
It's at the first underground.
On the first floor. It's a specifically built room which is reinforced with concrete and steel and special metal doors. So you go in.
And these are all over the place over Israel.
Correct. And there is also a law in Israel in place now. If there's a house, apartment building being built, you are supposed to have a safe room in your own apartment. So all of the other newer apartments in Israel, they do have a bomb shelter.
Even like on the 4th floor or whatever, you have a safe room that would
Correct.
That wouldn't get. Even if the whole bomb or the whole unit blew up, it would probably be okay.
Correct. That would left standing. So many people, they would just, those that do have those kind of bomb shelters in their apartments, they would overnight and stay and sleep there.
Wow. Okay. So do you get a lot of, I know this sounds bizarre, but like, is there community that's formed because you do a lot of bomb shelters together? Does that make sense?
Oh, that's how we
become friends or whatever?
That's how we met all of our neighbors, That's.
I mean, like, hey, It's good to see you again. Yeah, they're bombing us. That's happening.
Yeah, because they saw our neighbors. They said, we heard that there's a new family that moved in, but we just never met you. Nice to meet you guys. Welcome.
All in the bomb shelter.
Correct.
Okay. That is so crazy. All right. So you've got the bomb shelter going, and you've got ministries happening. Do you use your tour guide to share Jesus at all? Like your tour guiding? Does that ever happen where you get to share Christ?
Yes. Of course, I work with the groups which are coming into Israel, and also I work with groups which are local.
Yeah.
So whenever we go somewhere, we talk about geography, we talk about history, we talk about religion, we talk about who was here. Was it Jesus, his disciples, or there was a certain prophet from the Bible active here? And we connect it for the people to help them see the picture, why they are here. They're here because God said the times are coming when he's going to gather his people from all of the lands of the dispersion and bring the people of Israel back.
Wow.
So you are here. What does it mean for you now?
Wow. Okay. What's your favorite place to I don't know, tour, I guess, when you're...
It's easy. It's Jerusalem, of course.
But is there like a certain spot of Jerusalem?
There are many. I would say Western Wall is special. Tunnels under the Western Wall, Jewish Quarter, the Jaffa Gate, the Armenian Quarter. There are many places of interest. Christian Quarter.
Like what's special about the Jaffa Gate?
It's the central gate that was used for thousands and thousands of years as the main entrance that connected the biblical city of Jerusalem to Mediterranean, to the biblical city of Jaffa, Ethiopia. In the New Testament, it's mentioned. That's where Peter had the vision being on the roof. That's where Cornelius from Caesarea came to visit him, and that's from where the gospel basically began to spread out to the non-Jewish world.
That's wild. Okay, so tell me then, like, what does ministry look like? Like when you're ministering there, in a sense of giving a tour, or you're just sharing Christ, or praying for somebody at a meal, whatever. How does that? What impact? Are people hungry for Jesus in Israel?
It's interesting statistics we can talk about, and the statistics, somebody says the numbers speak louder than words. Okay, when the state of Israel was declared sovereign and independent,
like 1948.
Correct, May 1948, there were 23 Messianic believers.
23?
23, 20 plus 3, 23. The population of Israel at that time was 600,000 Jews, okay? So math can be done here, what kind of percentage population-wise.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to 2026, there's around, still not many, but people say between 30 and 50,000, the max of Messianic believers for 10 million population of Israel. So basically somebody said that for the past 20 years, the numbers of Messianic believers tripled in Israel.
Wow.
So that means, yes, there's hunger. Yes, God works in Israel. God is drawing people to himself through the Messiah Yeshua. And he is establishing his body and growing his body in Israel.
Do you have any story, like a particular person that you got to share Christ with and they received Christ?
It happens, definitely. It happens on the personal level. Evangelism in Israel takes place on the level of becoming friends with someone, or meeting somebody on the tour, and then afterwards connecting them with the local Messianic congregation. That's how it works.
Yeah. Are there any frustrations that you have about just life in Israel right now other than getting bombed?
Getting bombed,
It's up there.
Yeah, we got to learn how to live with it, because when war happens in Israel, you can't put the whole nation on the pause. You can't say we do nothing else but do war. Yes, they do bomb. Yes, the sirens go off, but at the same time, you still have to take your kids to school or drop them off at the kindergarten. You have to go to work, or pay your bills and stuff like that. So it cannot be like this. So people of Israel, the pressure. I think this is how the diamonds are created. The more pressure there is, the more precious and clearer is the diamond. So outside pressure, it just makes or made sure that Israel is, united. I'm not saying there's disagreement. There's no disagreements in Israel. Believe me, there's plenty. But when it talks about survival and fighting together or supporting the army or standing against the enemy, everybody is on the same page.
Okay, so yeah, that's an incredible reality. Because I'm just like listening to this, and you guys just got there, really. I mean,
yeah,
you're
considered to be new in Israel up to 10 years.
Right, so you're still new.
Correct.
But your daughter served in the army.
Uh-huh.
Which is sort of like, did she just show up and be like, all right, I'm joining the... I mean, how old was she when she went?
She was almost 19.
Okay.
And she wanted to serve.
Yeah.
And she did. She served in the diplomatic corps.
Oh, fun.
In nearby Tel Aviv, okay?
Wow.
So to speak. And it was a blessing for her. That's where, in Israel, army is the cohesive, or better to say, is the instrument or the tool that makes and blends and makes all of the population cohesive and just one. For example, it doesn't matter who your parents are.
Right.
It can be the general or the admiral in the army or in the Navy or Air Force, or your dad is the biggest businessman in Israel. Still, you get to the army, you get to clean the floor as everybody else.
Right.
If you go to the Kravi units, which means the battle units, it doesn't matter who your parents are. Rich or poor, whoever they are, you do what needs to be done with the rest of the boys.
And how long do you serve for?
Guys, they go for 3 years.
Okay.
Ladies, they go for 2.
Okay.
Now they're talking about extending it. And but otherwise, that's the general rule of the thumb.
And what's the difference between fighting Hamas or Hezbollah and fighting Iran?
Well, basically, for example, Hezbollah was started in 1982 by Iran with support, so it's Iranian proxy. Hamas was started in 1987 by Sheikh Yassin in the Gaza Strip, and they are both Muslim terrorist groups, but little bit different. Well, I shouldn't even say little, but big difference between them. Hamas is, for example, is a Sunni Muslims.
Yeah.
And
it's like Saudi Arabia.
Correct. Qatar. Yeah. Majority of the Muslim world is Sunni.
Right.
And Iran is Shia Muslims. So they
don't get along.
Correct. So you can see that, for example, the word Hamas itself, of course, it's abbreviation in Arabic, Islamic Resistance Movement. But if we look in the book of Genesis, why the flood of Noah took place, it says the Lord God beheld the earth. He looked at the earth and he saw that the earth was filled with Hamas.
No.
Hamas in Hebrew is the word that stands for violence. So funny enough, humorously enough, said but true, Hamas with the abbreviation in Arabic and Hamas with the pure meaning in Hebrew, it just is not a peaceful thing.
Yeah, okay, so they're a problem. And so Hamas is the Sunni.
Correct.
Okay, and then the Hezbollah is the Shia.
Correct.
And Hamas comes from the south, Hezbollah comes really from the north.
From the north, yeah.
Okay.
And they're destroying the nation of Lebanon, sadly. Sad but true. Lebanon used to be the, so to speak, Switzerland of the Mediterranean, of the Levant. And for the past 15, 20, 25 years, Lebanon has been really brought down to, so to speak, from the heights to the dirts.
Wow. Okay. So what is going on with that? Is it just the Hezbollah? Because I knew Lebanon at some point had a lot of Christians.
Yes, they're fleeing. Israel is the only nation in the Middle East and the Levant where the Christian population is steady and is growing.
Oh, wow.
For example, Bethlehem used to be majority Christian. Now it's less than 20 or even less, 15% of the population. Christians are just immigrating in mass.
They're all leaving.
Correct.
And is that because more Muslims are coming in?
It's because of many reasons: economical, religious, and of course, Palestinian administration is not making lives of local Arab Christians easier.
Okay, so
Sadly.
here's the thing that I don't understand. Just I hear a lot of people in the U.S. I mean, I hear like from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free or something like that.
Yeah, that's a sad slogan of our
Yeah.
days.
So what is that? Does that mean? Because I hear that from a lot of people that are that Israel just is committing genocide. I hear all that kind of stuff. Tell me what the reality is of when it's there.
We have to roll the tape back a little bit, Chris. Let's go back to November 1947.
Yeah.
Okay. United Nations votes for the partition of the British Mandate Palestine.
Yeah.
To be divided into the Jewish state and Arab state. Okay.
So there was a two-state solution at the very beginning.
Was, right from the beginning.
Oh, wow.
You know, even Joseph Stalin, he said to his deputies, to his diplomats, to vote in favor to create Israel. You know, even USSR at the beginning supported this idea. And as soon as the Arabs heard it, they said no. Instead of saying, okay, the Jews will have their own part of the land, which the Jewish people were offered not the best parts of the land at all. And the Arabs, they said no right away. So there were riots. And basically, that's the beginnings of the War of Independence for Israel that lasted from 1947 until 1949.
Okay.
So that's where the foundations or the beginnings of the development were. Because, for example, we were talking about Hezbollah. Hezbollah, in the meaning, in the structure itself of the word, it means the party of the Allah. And they divide the world and their enemies very easily. Big Satan and little Satan.
Okay.
Big Satan is America. Little Satan is Israel. You know, so it shows right away how serious they are.
Yeah.
Because when the Ayatollahs came to power in Iran in 1979, one of the first things that they did was to storm and seize the U.S. Embassy.
Right. And then took hostages.
Took hostages, correct. And this is something you never do. You never touch diplomats in the state of peace or war.
Right.
And Iran was not in the state of war with the USA. But it tells us, you know, how can you negotiate with the people that call you Satan and want you destroyed?
Yeah.
You have to be really smart and cautious and aware of their intentions.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. Keep going. This is fascinating.
Yeah.
So from there, so the background. So there's that Israel was constantly being bombarded, and so when people say genocide is happening of Israel killing off all the Palestinians, what the reality is? What is going on? What is? Well, because there is people like fighting and stuff on like I guess Israel.
That is not true. It's propaganda at its most evil.
Because this is the part I don't know. I literally like. I guess that's true. I don't know. So it's really helpful for you to share with us what is actually happening in Israel.
There was the genocide of Israelis that took place on October 7th.
Right.
There was a genocide of Israeli Muslim Arabs that took place on October 7th.
What do you mean by that? Israeli Muslim Arabs?
There was a genocide of Filipino and Thai workers working at the kibbutz and farms in Israel. So when Hamas stormed the border of Israel and invaded Israel on October 7th, they killed all and everyone that was found in their path.
It's funny. I only thought they invaded or they attacked a music concert, but it was
But then they overwhelmed it. They killed each and every one that they can lay hands on, and then they went inland, kibbutzes. There's a really sad and truthful movie, October the 7th.
Yeah.
I attempted to watch it and I couldn't finish it.
Why is that?
It's the unedited compilation of
just all the video
footages from the body cams of the Hamas guys, terrorists.
Wow.
So I'm not encouraging our listeners to watch it, but if you want to see something that breaks the heart of God, this will break your heart as well.
So the primary, and this is I'm still trying to understand it. The primary issue is probably this simple. The Palestinians say that's our land. Israel says no, that's our land. Is that the primary issue?
The primary issue is unwillingness of Palestinians to acknowledge the right of the Jewish people
To even
the land-
exist,
to
one.
even exist, to even exist. Because in 1917, if we go back a little bit further, there was another decree, the Balfour Declaration, which the office of Her Majesty Queen of England gave to the Mr. Rothschild,
Yeah.
saying that we do pledge and we will try to do all in our power to ensure the establishment of the national home for the Jewish people in the British-controlled Eretz Israel, land of Israel,
Wow.
Palestine at that time. So, but the issue was that, 30 years later, it was still in the progress. And when United Nations voted for the separation into two-state solution, one of the parties, Palestinian Arabs, they said, we don't believe in the two.
Oh.
And they still,
Got it.
they say they want to create a Palestinian state, but there is a Palestinian state, Jordan, the
Right.
Hashemite kingdom of Jordan.
Okay, that's
And
fascinating.
November 1947, they completely rejected the idea of peaceful coexistence with Israel.
So does Jordan accept
It
any?
was not Israel doing something against the Arabs. It
Right,
was
right.
vice versa.
Right.
Israelis had to protect themselves.
So does Jordan receive any, or they allow Muslim immigrants to come into their country?
No, they don't. They are not willing to because
Wait. They hold on. You're telling me that they won't allow Muslim immigrants to come into their Muslim country and say like, hey, you can get freedom from whatever oppression you have over there in Israel. Come home to Jordan. You are our people.
Correct. There was a time when they received PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization, headed by Yasser Arafat.
Yes.
And he tried to make a revolution and kick out the king of Jordan. And Jordan had to fight back and kick him out. So that's how serious it gets,
That I think that's what it's.
It sends the message, what they're up to.
And it's so complicated of like who is sort of leading these different organizations. Have you ever read the book Son of Hamas?
Yes.
All right, so that's the one. The Hamas leader becomes a Christian.
Son of one of the leaders.
Right. So tell me, that happened fairly recently, right? Can you talk about that at all?
Yeah, it's very interesting how God uses different people for different purposes and saves them from basically hell.
Yeah.
Because if you
he was like a killer. Like, he was out to kill Jews
if your major achievement in life is to become a suicide bomber or get shot or get killed, killing others only because they're Jewish or Israeli, or like October 7, when they were killing the workers from Thailand and the Philippines, they're not ethnic Jews.
Right.
They don't have they don't hold Israeli passports like us. They were caught in Israel. And, like we mentioned in the beginning, Hamas terrorists, they also killed Israeli Muslim Arabs when they seized them upon the invasion. It didn't matter. They killed each and every one. And those people, they would say that they are Muslim, and nevertheless, they would kill and shoot and decapitate them.
Okay, shifting a little bit. Because now you're in a new war, like it's with Iran. And can you tell me the difference with living within the Iron Dome between when Hamas would shoot rockets versus when Iran shoots intercontinental ballistic missiles? What's that like?
Currently, we have a ceasefire with Islamic Iranian Republic. And the main difference is in the time and also the kind of the missiles that they are able to create and use and shoot. For example, Iran was using the state-supported military-grade activities to make those ballistic missiles.
Got it.
So when they shoot one, Iron Dome intercepts the launch, and it sends a signal to all of us in Israel and says,
Wow.
in about several minutes, heavy sirens are going to be, alarm sirens are going to be sounded. And we know that we have about 5 to 6 or maximum 10 minutes that they're going to come and approach. And we go down to the shelter, and then we hear the sirens go off, then we hear loud booms over our heads. And then for the next 10 minutes, we are advised and we're obligated to stay inside because of the debris falling. Because when the missile gets intercepted in the air, ballistical missile from Iran, it takes place several miles in the atmosphere.
Has anyone ever just like, I don't want to wait for it?
Sadly, it happened, and people got killed.
So people are like, it's probably not going to hit me. What are the odds of that? I'm just going to go about my day. And then they got struck by like falling debris.
Sadly. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, the adrenaline rush, I think, like, how constant how often are the alarms going off for you to go to the shelter?
For example, during the active phase of war and shelling from Iran and Israel intercepting them in last March, I think the maximum times that they would bomb us was about 7 or 8 times per night.
Wow.
So it's several times per day, and their idea was just to disrupt the normal life in Israeli society. Plus, they were trying to strike, civilian population. Israel was in retaliation striking, military bases, launch pads, and radars, and all of the army related to Iran, while Iranians were sending rockets into densely populated civilian areas.
Wow. Okay. So tell me about the ministry that you get to do just being there.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's our joy to support our Messianic congregation and do what needs to be done. We try to say to never say no to the demands of our congregation, whatever is needed. So we run a Bible study group for our people. Also, we volunteer with food parcel things that we pass out. And whatever our pastor tells us or asks us to do, we just gladly do it.
Do you ever get to go do like evangelism, like on the beach or anything like that?
Yeah, people in our congregation, of course. I'm not musically inclined. I envy people that can play guitars. I like to sing, but my singing happens to be like joyful noise unto the Lord. But we do have people who are able to grab a guitar, go out in the street and just start singing psalms in Hebrew, and people start coming and asking questions and strike conversations. And it's
and they're like, possible. So who's your rabbi kind of thing or what?
Well, some people come and they say, oh, this is nice. Can I make a donation for you? Where's your little hat? And they say, no, we're not raising donations. We're here praising God. And then they would say, oh, somebody would come and say, hey, which rabbi, who's your rabbi? From which synagogue are you? So it also provides an opportunity to strike a conversation.
And what do you say to that?
Oh, it depends. And just it depends on who is in front of you. Sometimes you jokingly say, hey, our rabbi is Yeshua. Hey, what's his last name? Yeshua who?
Oh, that's fun. All right. And so now, do you have any kids still at home, or are they all out of the house?
Our eldest is married. He's out of the house. Our middle daughter is getting married soon,
nice.
Lord willing. And our youngest is still with us. So.
Okay. And what and how old is he, and what's that like with him at school?
He's 18. He's in the 12th grade, and he wants to go to the army. Of course, we as parents, first we want him to get the education.
Right.
If possible, we tell him, hey, go to the university and then go to the army. And he says, no, it looks like I might be getting tired of studying. I need to get a break in the army. Okay.
I need to get a break to go to war. Okay, that's nice. And so, what is that? Is there a fear factor for you that how do you trust the Lord with your children adult children going into the military?
I think there's a difference between being fearful and being cautious. because we understand that we need to protect ourselves.
Right.
If we don't protect ourselves, nobody is. Somebody said
Somebody has to do it.
yeah, correct. Somebody said the first war that Israel will lose will be the last war for Israel.
Right.
So we understand that somebody has to take care of it. And of course, it's a mixture of feeling that you're proud of your kids. You rejoice that they are fighting for the worth cause. But at the same time, you pray and you just say, God, we did our best with growing up these kids. We put them in your hands. Please take care and protect. That's what we do for all of the soldiers in Israel, because I'm a dad and I understand these could be my kids.
Yeah.
I'm 51 and these kids are 18, 19, 20. These are all my potential little children.
Right. I love that. What would you say to Americans just sort of watching the news? What's the best way we can pray for you and for Israel?
Mm-hmm. The best way is to pray from the Bible. The Bible clearly says that in the last days, Prophet Isaiah, for example, I believe it's chapter 11.
Yeah.
It says that I will raise up the standard, the flag for the nations, and I will gather all of my people in Israel. So back in the ancient days, one of the reasons that you would raise up a flag or standard means you go to war.
Oh, yeah.
So it means that there's going to wars, troubles and tribulations. And amidst all of these, the Jewish people are going to be gathered to the land. So pray for God to safely bring the Jewish people more. Because, so far, even, for example, the pre-World War II population of the world Jewry was much bigger.
Oh, wow.
It was over 16 million. And now in 2026, the global population of the Jewish people is over 15 million.
Okay.
So there's a disbalance. The Jewish people have not, so to speak, gotten restored to the previous pre-war numbers. And also pray, the Bible says that when God gathers Israel in the last days, he's going to do wonderful things.
Yeah.
Give them new heart. Pour out his spirit upon the Jewish people. The dead bones will live, the prophet Ezekiel says, and he will give the new heart and the new covenant.
Yeah.
So pray for that.
That they would come know Jesus. I mean, that's
yes.
The recognized Messiah has come to them and is still offering, even today, salvation for them.
Yeah. That he is the Messiah of Israel, that he is wanting each and every Israeli to come and get to know him.
Man, that's powerful. Hey, thanks so much, Sergei. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yes.
Really appreciate it. If you have any questions about faith, culture, anything in between, you can text us at 737-231-0605. We'd love to hear from you. Hey, from our house to yours, have an awesome week of worship.